Hello friends, this is Deepak here and I welcome you to my channel. In today's video, we will summarize the book The Bitcoin Standard by Dr. Saifedean Ammous. In this channel, we usually talk about Bitcoin and investments. Now, if you have to start your Bitcoin journey, one book that you must read and understand the basics about money is The Bitcoin Standard by Dr. Saifedean Ammous. Saifedean Ammous used to be a professor in a university, but I believe he is now full-time into Bitcoin. He teaches Bitcoin courses, Austrian economics courses, and I've attended his courses. You must too if you have the time and energy to spare time and some time to understand. Please attend his classes. They are amazing. Without much ado, let us get into the book summary. I have prepared this presentation, which I will put a link to in the description. You can access it for free. This presentation was given by me to a group of entrepreneurs and students in the last 3-4 months, and it was well received. What I tried to convey through this book review was a message of why Bitcoin matters, right? So this book is the ultimate guide for you if you want to understand how Bitcoin started, what is the meaning of Bitcoin and other stuff. So let us get into this. The Bitcoin Standard, a decentralized alternative to central banking. The subtitle itself provides you why Bitcoin exists, right? A decentralized alternative to central banking. Now, if you see around us, most of the countries, they have something called a central bank, and I believe due to the bureaucracy, the political arena, most of the powers are vested in these centralized entities, which in most cases do not work for the betterment of the society. This is what the meaning I got. But having grown in this economy, we don't realize what is the impact of central bank or similar institutes that have on the lives of people. And this book gives you a bit of background as to why Bitcoin fits this bill of a decentralized alternative to the centralized banking. It is not saying, the book doesn't say that Bitcoin is going to replace this central bank. Central banks are very important for our economies to control certain aspects of it, but too much power in too few hands may not work for the upliftment of the society. That is what the message that is given in this book. And this is the book cover. If you read the original versions, there are some differences in the later versions. And this is Dr. Saifedean Ammous. Before I get into this summary of the book, I would love to pose a question to you. That is a philosophical question, right? And that is, what is money? We toil our lives, we work for companies, we work for organizations, we do business just for money. But do you know the meaning of money? We all know that dollars, or dirhams, or rupees, they exist. But do you know what is the meaning of money? Are dollars, dirhams, or rupees, are they money? Please pause this video, take a few moments and think about and write what money means to you. And I'm sure each of you will have different thoughts about what money is. And if you have a thought about money, I would recommend that you let us know in the comments of this video. What is money to you? And this is what is a philosophical question that we must ask ourselves. You know, we do so much of hard work. We do so much of thinking. A lot of our lives depend on this something called money. And are we able to define what money is? I used to be an economics student in my university, and my professor once told us that, you know, it is very tough to define money. Even economists, the professional economists, have tough time defining money because money has its own meaning depending on where you live. Right? If you're living in a country like US, money may be a medium of exchange for you or store of value. But if you're living in a country like Venezuela, it's purely a medium of exchange. People don't earn so much to store, and if they also store money in their local currencies, it gets devalued because inflation is so high. So inflation eats away your money. In India, I've seen people usually buy gold. They consider gold as the store of value across generations, right? It is etched in our, I think, in our DNA that even a child will know gold is precious. But why gold is precious? That answer, very few know. We may say, okay, because everybody thinks it's precious, it's precious. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But is it real? Is it the reality as to why is gold considered a store of value? I remember it. I mean, I know it that in India, when a girl gets married, parents usually gift her the gold. I was always wondering why not just money? Why not just money? Then I realized after reading this book and few other books that Indians are far ahead of time. We know that gold stores value. That's why it is considered the best store of value across generations. So ask yourself what money is to you. Money to you is. What is money? Let's move on. So what I have learned from this book, it gave me a different perspective of money. What money is to me has changed over the years. When I was small, it was only to buy things. When I went to college, it was to spend time with my friends, to have a good time, to buy something. When I joined my workplace, it was for me a way to earn more time or more freedom through money. And then when you mature, you have to make more money in order to live a good life in the future, a comfortable life. But Bitcoin changes all that. Bitcoin gives you this new perspective of what money is. Bitcoin purely is a money in a saving format. Bitcoin is not an investment. Nowadays it's been diluted, but I believe at the core, Bitcoin is a saving mechanism. It's a saving mechanism for everyone, and everyone is welcome in this world of Bitcoin. There is no censorship here, right? So my perspective of money has changed after reading this book and few other books, which I'll summarize in the upcoming videos on this channel. I learned the deeper truths on how economy operates. We know it's a big cycle, right? Economy is a big cycle. I buy ice cream, the ice cream factory owner buys machinery from somebody else. That machinery, who makes machineries, buys his raw materials from somebody else. So it's a big cycle. I earn money through my job, right? So it's a big circle of how the economy operates. And it's very interesting to understand when you get this perspective of why world goes around, why. So it's very interesting to understand the significance of strong or hard money in the context of the economy. And I also learned why soft money corrupts everything in an economy. If the money is easily printable by a government or by an institute, it gets diluted. So when I came to Dubai in the year 2007, the exchange value of 1 dirham was 10 rupees. Simple example. Now it is 20 rupees. So when you think of it, it has either dollar has got strong or rupee has gone weak. And it means that my savings in the year 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 have been diluted. That 10 rupees or 100 rupees those days is worth 50 rupees today. Why should this happen? Why does money get devalued? There is only few possibilities. One thing is there is too much of money chasing too few goods. That means inflation is going up. Cost push and demand pull inflation. So this book gives you that perspective of why soft money corrupts everything in an economy. And how Bitcoin is a hard money that nobody can touch. It's a decentralized money that will solve a lot of the problems that comes with the current state of the money. Right? So this is what I learned, and this book provides you a forward-looking, forward-thinking look at the future of money. So money, what exactly is it? Different people, different perspective. I spoke about, for people living in Venezuela, money is different. For people living in India, the money is different. The meaning of money is different. For people living in Africa, the meaning of money is different. Right? So we started off as a barter. Barter means I exchange goods for goods. And now we have sophisticated mechanisms like credit cards and your apps like Cash App or whatever apps you use for payments, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, or Google Pay. Right? The world is more efficient with these technologies. Gold was the perfect money. Why? Because you couldn't print more of gold. And that is the reason why gold has been considered throughout the millennia as a stronger form of money. The money you cannot dilute. That's why you will see a lot of governments, they store gold in their reserve, because that is the hedge against inflation. And because gold has a flaw that it cannot be transported easily, right? So that's why governments came up with the gold backed currencies. So government keep, let's say, $100 worth of gold and issue a paper currency against that value. However, after 1971, that system has gone. President Richard Nixon, I believe, removed the link between, or the exchange between, gold and paper currency. That was decided during the Bretton Woods. And Bitcoin spells end to older technology money form. Governments have in fact undermined the value of currencies to fund their wars. This usually is mainly happened in the US, where the government's war efforts were funded by debt, and that debt was because government had a free hand to print that money. And Bitcoin is a perfect standard of money because Bitcoin solves many of the problems of the current money, like unlimited printing, the cap, supply cap. Bitcoin, in fact, is a deflationary money, and it's the best form of money that you can have. So if you see in the history of how we evolved, so I said about the barter system. What is barter? I exchange goods for goods. I exchange my oranges for your apples. But there is a big problem there. The problem is something called double coincidence of wants. I may want to sell my oranges, or I may want to exchange my oranges, but I may not have anybody who wants to buy my oranges against apples. But there is somebody who is ready to exchange it for grapes. But I don't want grapes. I want apples, right? So double coincidence of wants. That is, I believe, then the revolution came of money. Gold, right? Gold were further minted as coins, and coins to paper money, and plastic and electronic money, and cryptocurrencies, the latest form of money. So money usually is considered as a medium of exchange. The most important aspect of, or the characteristic of money, is to be a medium of exchange. I exchange my money to buy certain things, right? Barter trade, during barter trade cow for shoes. Then we had something called ray stones, which were the large stones placed in the middle of the village in one of the islands. And then came shells, and then came salt. Even salt has been money, which is very fascinating to know. And I also learned that salary, the word salt was the origin word for salary, because when I went to Poland, I saw there was salt mines, and the salaries for the people who worked there was salt, because salt was considered a scarcity, a scarce asset, because we did not at that point had the technology to convert seawater into, or we didn't discover that seawater into salt. And then once we found out we could convert the seawater, which is unlimited in quantity, into salt, then salt lost all its monetary value. So gold, Saifedean says about gold, which is the sound money, and what are the attributes of money. So there are certain attributes of a money. If some goods have all these characteristics or attributes, then they can be called as sound money, right? Those are durable. First thing is durable. Like gold is durable. It doesn't get corroded even during atomic explosion, or rain, or shine, or whatever, thunderstorm. It's durable, right? It must be divisible. Money must be divisible. So gold is divisible into smaller forms. Dollar is divisible into cents. Bitcoin is divisible. 1 Bitcoin is equal to 100 million satoshis. Okay. Established history. Now, every form of money for us to have should have an established history. Now, gold has millennia of years of history. Nobody can beat that form of money. Bitcoin has only 10 or now 13 years of history. Dollar has more than 50 years of history. So, more the trust, more it becomes sound money. Bitcoin is very new, and it will take some time for all of us to agree, yes, Bitcoin will survive whatever it is, right? It must be indestructible. Fiat money like dollar are destructible. We can destroy them. Gold cannot be destroyed. You can lose gold, but you cannot destroy. Same thing with Bitcoin. You cannot destroy Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a decentralized protocol. It lives on hundreds and thousands of Bitcoin nodes and on mining machines across the world. It's a decentralized protocol. I have few nodes of my own which I operate, which I will talk about more in the upcoming videos, why it is important to run your own node, Bitcoin node, right? It cannot be destroyed. It's totally decentralized. Limited in supply. Now, this is the most important aspect of sound money. Like gold is limited in quantity, right? There is only so much new gold that can come into existence. And even if it comes, it's only maybe 1% or 2% of the existing supply. We cannot just bring unlimited supply of gold. If that happens, gold will lose its sound money attribute. Fiat money. Now, this is the most important disadvantage of fiat money is you can print them into oblivion. Now, the most important characteristic or attribute of Bitcoin is it's limited in quantity. Second thing is nobody can influence the 21 million supply cap of Bitcoin. Everyone knows there is only going to be 21 million, and that is the most important attribute of why Bitcoin is so valuable. If you divide the entire population of the world by 21 million, if you divide 21 million Bitcoin by the population of the world, everyone can only have 0.28 Bitcoin. 21 million divided by 7.5, maybe 0.0028 Bitcoin. That is the ultimate attribute that I would say of Bitcoin. And the deflationary characteristic of Bitcoin is there is only so many Bitcoin that can come into existence. Right? Every 10 minutes there is a block that is being generated on Bitcoin, and 6.25 Bitcoin are generated. So every 4 years, that supply cap is further deflated. Portable. Gold is tough to move around, right? So if you have gold, imagine taking gold from outside India to India. You have customs check. You have so many checks. Try taking cash. There is capital controls. Try moving cash in and out of any country or border. Banks will have 100 questions to you. Bitcoin in that sense is censorship resistant. You can carry it in a USB stick, you can carry it in your brain, you can carry it in a piece of paper with the private keys. You can carry billions of dollars of Bitcoin, worth of Bitcoin in your USB. Nobody can stop it. Even if they confiscate, it's very tough to, unless they coerce out of somebody, it's very tough to get the private keys out of you. Right? So that is the ultimate portability attribute of Bitcoin. Incorruptible. Well, by this, what we mean is no, gold is gold, and gold has been sold. Fake gold has been sold, right? Bitcoin is easy to verify. Suppose somebody says, okay, I have 1 million or 1 million Bitcoin. If somebody claims, okay, you can get his public key address and verify that these are real Bitcoins. And fiat currencies or fiat money like dollars, rupees, they have this problem of fake money. Gold has the problem of fake gold. Right? Bitcoin cannot be corrupted. So, next the book talks about is the devaluation of money. Governments, states in Europe devalued their money to fund their war efforts. If you read the history of wars, um, why the money was devalued is to buy arms and ammunitions. So when government has free hand to print money, what they would do is print unlimited amount of money to buy ammunitions, arms. Same thing happened in the old, I think Spain, Germany, and even in the recent years and during the Vietnam wars. The government is able to print it out of, because they had this power. And Julius Caesar, his coin was for 8 grams of gold. That was a standard method of payment at his time. When the growth in the economy began to slow, the mint started clipping coins. Okay, the 8 grams of gold became 6 grams of gold and 2 grams of copper. So it can happen. You can fool people for a certain amount of time, but people usually realize, So that was the problem of devaluation. So easy money came into economy. So government, or that time the mint could print more of coins. So when you print more of coins, you're getting more money into circulation. That means you're driving up the inflation. So that triggers an economic crisis, and ultimately this led to the downfall of Roman Empire. I believe there is a very beautiful YouTube channel called Gold Money, and there is a series of 7 to 8 videos that you must watch about the money and the history of money. I will link it in the description. Now I forgot the name of the gentleman. He explains it in such a beautiful way, the history of money, how it has been corrupted over the centuries and millennia, the gold, the silver, or whatever the form of money, and how it ultimately leads to the downfall of the particular empire. I will link it in the description. So then the world moved on to the gold standard. Gold, however, had one major fall, which needed storage in vaults, and you needed guards to guard those. So it comes with a cost. So governments, to circumvent this problem, issued gold-backed currencies corresponding to the value of gold. So I have $100 in my vault. I will issue $100. But the problem here is, when you have this mechanism, you are tempted to print more money than the gold you have in the vault. So if you have $100 of gold, because people have faith in you, trust in you, you print $500 worth of currency. currencies, right? So mints started printing more paper money than the value of gold in the vaults, in turn devaluing the currencies. So same thing, the inflation goes up, economic crisis happens. And here is a very interesting uh, uh, some few images from Indian mythology, and uh, I believe some Greek mythology, and kings and queens. They used to adore themselves with a lot of gold or silver. That means, I mean, this one of the mythology I believe is more than 4 or 5 thousand years old, and I'm sure I've not read those mythologies, but I've watched those, and I've seen all these kings and queens and noblemen adoring themselves with gold and no silver or diamond. That means gold had that importance even during those days. I'm not sure whether this is the accurate description or depiction, but I believe there is some truth to that, right? So whenever a kingdom invaded another kingdom, the first thing is they would loot their gold and the properties, right? So this is just for your information. I found it interesting just to share it. So here is a king uh, I'm not sure who is he, but you see his necklace, right? It's made out of gold, diamonds, and these coins here. I'm not sure where they are from, but they're gold coins. Just just an interesting. I found it interesting. So, what made us move to paper money? After World War One, European governments issued paper money, or fiat money, that is called, or faith-backed money, or decree-backed. A king would announce, okay, this is the money that we will use. This money, right? Government intervention in money proved disastrous, because you have power to print so much money. You are always tempted to print more money. And what is paper money? It's just backed by the faith that you have in that country, or in that king, that he can rule for a longer time. Imagine a king rules for 5 years, then he is defeated by some other kingdom. Then that money will come to your come into your kingdom. What will happen to your old money? Right? This is what happened. If you see the history of money, and when it comes to after World War II, I think more than 45 countries gathered together and said, okay, all currencies would be tied to USD at a fixed exchange rate, USD to gold. And at that time, that was IMF was born, International Monetary Fund, and all gold held by countries were transported to US, and this was called Bretton Woods. I will provide links in the description for you to read more about it. So what is the meaning of money? What does sound money enable? It enables prosperity. That is what Dr. Saifedean Ammous says. It encourages saving and investing. For me, as an example, I have developed this habit of low time preference. That means I postpone my current wants and needs to the future. And whatever I can, I invest in Bitcoin. So again, he talks about low time preference and high time preference. So in the modern time, we see people have very high time preference. That means they are looking for dopamine hit right now. Social media has enabled that. I want this shoes now. I want this latest mobile phone now. I want iPhone 15 now. I want iPod Pro now. I want to go in that foreign vacation now, mostly on borrowed money. Right? So high time preference and versus low time preference. I prefer that you get accustomed to low time preference. Right? Protect your savings through Bitcoin. So what are the effects of unsound money? Unsound money encourages you to take high debt. Not only individuals, even countries. Right? It goes on to see in our history that how and why we had these recessions, and that is the problem of central planning. People who are sitting at the top, they may not know the ground realities, right? Although they are elected representatives, they may not know the ground realities. So it is impossible for them to appease everyone. Central planning almost ends up in recessions. Government, like I said, operate with limited information. And bad decisions lead to distortion of capital market, leading to boom and bust cycle. And that debt cycle is looming over generations to generations. Why Bitcoin is unique? Saifedean talks about Bitcoin is similar to gold in most of its characteristics, but it is better. It is strictly limited and is strictly digital. Gold is limited, but we don't know whether someone comes across a mine which has unlimited gold underneath in the crust of the earth. And gold is not digital. Even if it is digital, you need to trust a third party. In Bitcoin, you don't have to trust a third party. So mining is a process where Bitcoin blocks are generated. It ensures that there is this expenditure on power, and that is what secures the entire network. So it's sometimes laughable when some people say Bitcoin uses the energy of one country, or I'm not sure which countries. Yeah, it uses, but it also protects that amount of wealth, right? So as of today, I think it's around $900 billion in network value. That means Bitcoin is protecting that amount of wealth, and we must appreciate that point, right? It is more than even GDP of certain countries, right? So more power in the network leads to increase in difficulty. So Saifedean says that this is the most unique characteristic of Bitcoin that no other thing has, that adjustment in difficulty. So if the network gets more power through the mining machines, Bitcoin every 2 weeks adjusts its difficulty. So when there was a Chinese ban on mining, the hash power of the network came down, but the network was still robust. And Bitcoin adjusted that mining time to 10 minutes. So that is a constant. It's not strictly 10 minutes, but yes, that is the superpower within the Bitcoin code base. That is the difficulty adjustment. So Bitcoin is ultra secure. It is secured by these miners and nodes around it, that it's impregnable, right? It's backed by the most sophisticated encryption called SHA-256. It's akin to rocket science. I heard Andreas Antonopoulos saying Bitcoin technology or the code base or the protocol is akin to rocket science. It has to be 100% secure because you're dealing with money. It has 99.999% uptime, more than anything else on this earth. Even atomic clocks have the variation, but Bitcoin protocol is so strong that it has uptime more than any company, any organization, any server, because it's a decentralized protocol. That is the power of decentralization. Then what are the challenges that Bitcoin faces? Bitcoin isn't perfect. Now, I spoke about so much about Bitcoin, but is Bitcoin perfect? No, Bitcoin is not perfect. Nothing can be perfect, right? There is a lot of price volatility. So it discourages a lot of people when they see this price today is 50,000, tomorrow it's 45,000, then it is 30, then it is 35. That's why I say you need to have that stomach to withstand these kind of volatilities in the prices. So for me, this is the biggest challenge that Bitcoin has. Most of the users are still reliant on centralized authorities like banks to transfer money to the exchanges to buy Bitcoin. I believe these are the two major challenges or flaws in the Bitcoin, right? So if governments come behind or come after centralized exchanges or banks and say or ban them from doing anything related to Bitcoin, then that is the choke point that we have. That is the weak point that in the Bitcoin environment. So limited transaction throughput. Many people have also this highlighted this flaw of limited transaction. Yes, Bitcoin has the limitations of 1 megabyte of the block size. It's a limitation, and there are solutions to that in the form of Lightning Network and others. protocols built on the top of Bitcoin. Sorry if you're hearing my daughter screaming. Excuse me. Yeah. Back to the video. There is Lightning Network these days, which are built on the protocol of Bitcoin. So what Saifedean usually says is that Bitcoin can be the base protocol to settle big sums, and all of the rest of the transaction can happen on Lightning Network or similar other protocols built on top. So as a summary, so world always converges on sound money, right? It takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes maybe generations or decades or centuries, but ultimately the world converges on a sound money, and Bitcoin, in my opinion, and which I am relaying from Dr. Saifedean, is Bitcoin is the sound money. Inflation erodes our hard work. I spoke about erosion of my savings, right? Why should my savings be eroded by actions that are not within my control? Right? Sound money promotes savings and investments in productive things. So Bitcoin for me has been one of the greatest saving mechanism. I've encouraged my friends since the year 2015-16 to save, and my ultimate aim for anyone is to have at least one Bitcoin. So whenever I go and give some talks, I always say your aim must be to have one Bitcoin that is owned by you. You will do well in medium to long term. Short term there are volatilities, but no one has lost money in Bitcoin over a period of 4 years. It has always doubled. Bitcoin doesn't solve the world's problem, but it's a good start, right? So Bitcoin isn't perfect. We already spoke about it. Bitcoin doesn't solve the world problems, but if you solve your money, you can solve a lot of problems. And just as a reminder, this is not a financial advice. I'm not encouraging anyone to invest in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies. I'm just a person on the internet talking about my opinion and all the books that have helped me. If you need a financial advice, please consult a financial advisor. So I would like to highlight certain graphs which I found online. The erosion of the purchasing power of Bitcoin over its existence. $1 that was in 1913 is worth less than 5 cents today, or less than that. This was in 2013, right? So you get it. And another very important chart that I would like to highlight is the reserve currency status. So whichever country ruled the world, or whichever country had the their currency circulation majority, they usually had their currency as the reserve currency. And reserve currency status does not last forever. So Portugal in the 1400s had a lot of colonies around the world, so they spread their currency. Spain, for that matter, in 1500s. So Dutch, the Netherlands, they ruled over a lot of colonies around the world. France had their own time, and then Britain, till recently in the previous 20th century, they had their good times. Now US is having the good times since early 1900s. I don't know how long it lasts, but as I said, sound money always, the world converges on a sound money, and Bitcoin does have a good chance because Bitcoin is a strong money. Bitcoin is it promotes decentralization of money, and it's a decentralized alternative to central banking. And thank you so much for being with me. I hope this has helped you. If you like this video, please click on the like button, because this then relays the message that you like similar videos, and you may also find some interesting other videos from other channels. Also, I request you to please subscribe to the channel, which will I will be bringing more videos such as these. Thank you and have a good day.